Right here, the hardest hitting 145 pound, the real hardest hitting 145er right here. This guy TKOs people. When I knock people out, they don't move. They're not, who the
Michael Perry has carved a unique niche for himself in combat sports, earning the audacious title of the King of Violence, known for his relentless fighting style and unyielding grit. Perry's journey has been anything but ordinary. From his early days in MMA to his current rise in popularity as a fighter who embodies sheer toughness and unpredictability, he's captivated audiences who admire his raw tenacity. However, this weekend marks a significant moment in his career as he faces a smaller yet undoubtedly skilled opponent. Fans and critics alike are eager to see how Perry performs under the spotlight, with many rooting for him to showcase the same ferocity that has defined his career. His journey is a testament to aiming higher and pushing beyond the limitations of expectations, something every fighter or anyone with aspirations can learn from. For Perry, physical transformation has been a key part of his evolution. In recent years, his physique has garnered attention, with fans marveling at his muscular build that mirrors that of a professional bodybuilder. His dedication to fitness and honing his craft serves as a reminder that success in combat sports or any field requires relentless effort and a clear focus on the bigger picture. Perry has proven that staying complacent is not an option. The goal is to continually raise the bar, whether that means pursuing world titles, striving for Olympic glory, or simply pushing personal limits to achieve greatness. This drive for greater goals is echoed in the broader combat sports world, where figures like Jake Paul have emerged as polarizing yet undeniably influential figures. Known initially as a YouTuber, Paul has used his platform to transition into boxing, challenging traditional norms and calling out big names like Conor McGregor. While Paul's antics often label him as a master troll, his ability to generate hype and draw attention is unmatched. As Dana White, the president of the UFC, has noted, Paul's skill in creating buzz around his fights makes him a compelling figure in the sport. The potential for a showdown between Paul and McGregor has sparked endless debate, with fans and analysts, including Joe Rogan, weighing in on how such a matchup might unfold. Rogan, in a recent episode of The Joe Rogan Experience, shared his insights on the hypothetical fight, highlighting the strengths and weaknesses of both fighters. He emphasized McGregor's unparalleled striking skills and experience at the highest levels of MMA, while acknowledging Paul's surprising ability to hold his own in the boxing ring despite his unorthodox path into the sport. Rogan noted that Paul's willingness to call out elite fighters like McGregor demonstrates not only his marketing genius but also a degree of courage and ambition that commands a certain level of respect. "There's something about putting yourself out there for a fight," Rogan said, "that makes you respect someone just a little more." Paul's rise in combat sports has been controversial but undeniably impressive. His journey underscores the idea that anyone, regardless of their background, can redefine what it means to be successful in the sport. His matchups, including the possibility of a fight with Amanda Nunes, have fueled speculation and kept audiences engaged. Dana White himself once joked about letting Nunes, one of the most dominant female fighters in UFC history, knock him out, underscoring the spectacle surrounding Paul's boxing endeavors. The broader takeaway from figures like Michael Perry and Jake Paul is clear: settling for mediocrity is not an option. Whether you're an established fighter, a YouTube personality turned boxer, or someone pursuing a dream outside of sports, the key is to aim higher, challenge yourself, and never stop striving for greatness. Perry's transformation and Paul's rise both serve as examples of what can happen when you refuse to let preconceived notions define you. Despite the initial skepticism surrounding Paul's transition from YouTube to boxing, public perception seems to be shifting. Many now recognize his dedication to the craft and his ability to draw attention to the sport. If this kid wasn't a YouTuber, some argue, he'd be taken more seriously as a fighter. This statement reflects the challenges Paul has faced in gaining credibility, but also highlights the undeniable strides he's made in the ring. Now, the question turns to you: what's your next big dream? Are you ready to break boundaries, challenge expectations, and push yourself to the next level? Let us know in the comments how you plan to step out of your comfort zone and chase your goals. Whether in sports, career, or personal life, the time to aim higher and go further is now. When he first began uploading videos to YouTube at just 16, it was clear there was something extraordinary about this kid. Even at that young age, his natural charisma, drive, and athleticism stood out. Fast forward a few years, and he was in the ring knocking out former UFC champions, outmaneuvering seasoned boxers, and defeating top-tier MMA fighters. His rapid rise wasn't a fluke. His technique was precise, his punches measured, and his strategy intelligent, unlike many inexperienced fighters. He avoided wild and reckless strikes, showcasing an innate understanding of what it takes to succeed in the sport. His focus, coupled with his undeniable skill and raw energy, made him an immediate standout. If he had been introduced as a traditional up-and-coming boxer instead of through YouTube, he would still have made waves. His fights are electrifying, and it's no wonder people are tuning in to witness his meteoric rise. The question is, what do you think about his incredible journey in the fighting world? Is he the future of the sport, or is he merely a flash in the pan? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. While the spotlight shines on new faces in combat sports, one name remains a staple in discussions: Conor McGregor. Once celebrated as one of the greatest mixed martial artists in history, McGregor's career has been the subject of intense scrutiny in recent years. Once known for his sharp tongue, unparalleled skill, and unshakable confidence, McGregor now finds himself facing a different narrative, one of decline and self-destruction. Fans and analysts alike are left wondering, how did it all go so wrong? On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan delved into McGregor's struggles, pointing to the corrosive effects of fame and fortune. According to Rogan, McGregor's meteoric rise brought with it immense wealth, which ultimately introduced harmful habits into his life. From excessive partying to questionable public behavior, McGregor's issues have overshadowed his once glorious career. Rogan even questioned whether McGregor would ever step back into the octagon, given the numerous personal and legal challenges he faces. One of the key moments Rogan referenced was McGregor's increasingly erratic behavior, which has been on full display in interviews and public appearances. In particular, fans were shocked by his demeanor during promotional content for Roadhouse, where McGregor co-stars with Jake Gyllenhaal. During one interview, McGregor appeared visibly off-kilter, sparking conversations about his well-being. Comedian Shane Gillis even joked about McGregor's role in Roadhouse during a stand-up routine, turning the Irishman's behavior into comedic fodder. But beneath the humor lies a sobering truth: McGregor's current state is a far cry from the disciplined fighter who once dominated the sport. Adding fuel to the fire, McGregor's reputation has been further marred by legal troubles. While the details of his ongoing civil suits remain unclear, the fallout has been severe. Reports suggest he has been dropped by several major sponsors, and his party-hard lifestyle continues to draw criticism. Rogan remarked on how some of McGregor's interviews hint at deeper issues, saying, "You can tell he's out of it." These moments leave fans questioning whether the fighter they once idolized can ever return to form, or if the damage is irreversible. The bigger question remains, can Conor McGregor make a comeback? For many fighters, setbacks and challenges have served as stepping stones to redemption. But McGregor's case feels different, primarily due to the sheer scale of his fame and the lifestyle it has afforded him. To return to the top, McGregor would need to completely overhaul his approach, shedding the distractions that have derailed his career and reigniting the hunger that once defined him. Despite the challenges, there's an undeniable allure to McGregor's story. The idea of a comeback or return to the octagon with the fire and determination of his prime would undoubtedly be one of the most compelling narratives in combat sports. Fans around the world would rally behind him, hoping for a glimpse of the brilliance that made him a global icon. But for now, the odds seem stacked against him, and the choice lies in McGregor's hands: continue down a path of excess or reclaim his legacy. In the end, McGregor's story serves as both a cautionary tale and a potential source of inspiration. It highlights the double-edged sword of fame and fortune, showing how they can elevate and destroy in equal measure. As fans, all we can do is speculate and hope. So what do you think? Can McGregor find his way back to greatness, or has his time in the spotlight come and gone? Drop your thoughts below and join the conversation about one of the most fascinating figures in the history of combat sports. McGregor basically played out Conor McGregor in Roadhouse. To understand the magnitude of Joe Rogan's critique, it's important to reflect on Conor McGregor's rise to the top. When McGregor entered the UFC, he was a force to be reckoned with, known for his brash personality and charismatic self-promotion. McGregor quickly established himself as a fan favorite. However, it wasn't just his personality that captivated the world. His performance inside the octagon solidified his place in MMA history, perhaps the most important fight of yore. McGregor's career has had some unforgettable moments, and one of the biggest was in 2015 when he knocked out the legendary Jose Aldo in just 13 seconds to claim the UFC featherweight title. It was a moment that shocked everyone, and it really solidified McGregor as one of the sport's biggest stars. And of course, McGregor himself made it unforgettable with his famous quote, "From the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the expletive he wants." That moment really captured his confidence and mindset. What do you think? Was that the peak of his career, or do you think he's got more to show? Let me know your thoughts. Featherweight championship. McGregor's swift rise to the top was followed by his historic achievement at UFC 205 in 2016, when he became the first fighter in UFC history to hold two championships in different weight classes simultaneously. It seemed that nothing could stop McGregor, and he was on the verge of becoming the greatest fighter in MMA history. "I'm your father, I'm your daddy, call me Tose Senor. Tell him I'm his daddy, tell I really don't care, like he can whatever he wants and I'll continue to be the champion. He said, tell him he's his daddy. I said, I am his daddy. Sit on my left, on my sit on my. What I'm saying is this: when you knock a champion who's been that dominant and that good for 10 years out in 14 seconds, there is a question, which is, was that in some ways a fluke? However, as Rogan points out, the story of McGregor's downfall begins shortly after these peaks, which is Dylan Danis is a professional fighter. He's a professional fighter. He jumps all he takes a swing at him. They're screaming and Dylan's like, FAQ, he's like, you, and there's a bunch of people get involved and then a bunch of other people jump in. The whole thing was nuts, but the idea that we should be shocked after him throwing a dolly at a bus because Khabib's on the bus, that those Russians don't fucking play like that, man. You see the videos afterwards when Dagestan where they're shooting off you as a K4, a woman who accused the mixed martial arts fighter Conor McGregor offing her in a Conor McGregor has been through a lot lately, both in and out of the spotlight. Recently, a jury found him guilty of an incident at a hotel in Dublin 6 years ago. He's been ordered to pay €250,000 in damages to Nikita Hand. McGregor's career has also taken a hit in recent years. After his big loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov in 2018, he's fought only a few times, with his last match in 2021 ending in a terrible leg injury against Dustin Poirier. And now there are new accusations that he assaulted a woman after an NBA game in Miami. Legal documents are starting to circle around this incident, adding even more drama to McGregor's already troubled career. What do you think? Can McGregor bounce back from all this, or has he fallen too far from grace? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think he'll ever get back to his former glory, or is it all over for him? Don't forget to like and share. Allegations was sent to Mr. McGregor and seen by BBC News. It says the alleged assault took place in a bathroom at an arena in Miami. The woman's lawyer said she'd been watching Game 4 of the finals on Friday the 9th of June. Before the alleged incident happened, she alleged the woman was forced into a men's bathroom by security guards from the NBA and Miami Heat before being violently assaulted by Mr. McGregor. A lawyer representing Mr. McGregor said the allegations of false Mr. McGregor will not be intimidated. Both the city of Miami police and the Miami Heat, which hosted the NBA Finals game, say that they are conducting investigations. Chandler, you said good match for Conor. Is that ever happening? Or I don't know if Conor is ever going to fight again. What's happening with his, he just got like the civil suit. Yeah. Or whatever. And he's being dropped by all his companies or something. Yeah. I don't know the real details of that case. I know his version of it and her version of it and what played out in the court. But the reality is that guy's partying and he's partying real hard, and he talked about it in the court case. He's talking about cocaine like there. That was the whole thing, that we were all doing cocaine and we're finished. McGregor has since been on a path to recovery, teasing a comeback while exploring opportunities outside the octagon. His 2017 boxing match against Floyd Mayweather, though unsuccessful, demonstrated his ability to draw massive pay-per-view audiences, proving he remains a global attraction. How much money do you think someone could walk away with from a big fight like this? Maybe around $350 million. Jake Paul has really turned his career into a business, and it's clear he's done well with it. He's built a huge following and made a lot of money, but when it comes to real, pure fighting, that's a whole different story. He might talk a big game about boxing, but does he really want to step into the ring for a true fight? Jake Paul has become part of a new wave of combat sports entertainers. He started out as a YouTuber, but now he's made a name for himself in boxing, turning his personality into part of the show. He's got fans, he's getting big fights, and it's all about the brand he's built. What do you think about Jake Paul in the fighting world? Is he just looking for a paycheck, or is he actually serious about becoming a real fighter? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you're enjoying the conversation, make sure to like and share this video. His fame as a content creator on YouTube, Paul has pivoted to professional boxing, where he has carved out a niche by taking on celebrities, athletes, and former MMA fighters. I think he's like any other young up-and-coming boxer. It's just everybody dismisses him because he's a YouTuber for sure. It's easy to dismiss him, but I was there when he knocked out Tyron, and I was like, man, I'm done with this kid. I never wanted to corner another fight in my life, man. I was like, yo, he just knocked my boy flat. Out on his face, man. I was heartbroken, bro. He has power. It's real power. His brash personality, marketing acumen, and improving boxing skills have earned him a record of notable wins, including victories over former UFC fighters such as Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, and Anderson Silva. If Jake Paul if he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that. Like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's for real, cause nothing about watching him fight SCC seems like he's in over his head. If it wasn't that big YouTube star, like that dude's got dynamite in his hand. It is, but I see a lot of people talking funny stuff about like the leg kick didn't knock him out. What happened, like his leg or whatever, but when after that leg kick, he kind of reached down to grab the foot and threw an uppercut, and I was switched stance, so I threw a cross from my back in that. Conor McGregor definitely took some hard shots in that fight, and people are missing an important detail. That right hand he landed was a huge moment, but there's no question that the leg kick did some serious damage to his right leg. Let me show you some proof that Conor actually injured that leg, which he broke in the third Dustin Poirier fight 3 years ago. Just weeks before the bout, you can see him practicing kicks over and over again, and his leg was already taped up before that. Everyone was like, oh, he hurt it off of a Dustin Poirier check. You all don't know ish about MMA. He even posted about this after the fight. Paul has made no secret of his desire to fight McGregor. Since 2020, he has used social media to call out the Irishman, ridiculing his losses and taunting him with offers of multi-million-dollar payouts. While some dismiss Paul's antics as a publicity stunt, his growing profile in boxing has forced many to take his challenges seriously. What I really want is Conor. I'll put the nail in his casket, ideally. If you could have it your way, is it Nate Tommy Conor? Is KSI anywhere in that equation? Any if KSI fights Tommy, he's going to get knocked out. Why? I guess it's all kind of in the airtime. We'll tell Jake Paul made the call-out video, disrespected Conor McGregor. Here's the mistake that everybody's making. About Jake Paul, cause I put this on my Twitter account. I said Jake Paul's going to finish Asen in 30 seconds, and everyone's like, well, Asen's a fighter, blah, blah, this crap. I knew Jake Paul would smoke. Jake Paul reminds me of who I used to be, a confident young guy who's putting in serious work. People might dismiss him as just a YouTuber, but he's training hard with the likes of Canelo and Ryan Garcia. He's not just running his mouth, he's in the gym putting in the effort to actually win. According to reports from credible sources like The Sun and Fox Sports, talks about a potential fight between McGregor and Jake Paul are happening, with a possible date in the works. And Jake fights, for me to do that, I got to be willing to walk away for good, and they got to set me up for a while, at least not for life, but something like 20-something million where I can invest it and be fall off in the shade, because that's what you would have to do. Would I do something like that? You would have to know me to know I'm too solid of a guy to even have somebody walk to me and ask me, yeah, what happened to me is what was going to happen to him had he dropped those hands for me, just as a spectator, As a fan, it really hit me to see his UFC career end with no fanfare, no crowd, no special video, no Hall of Fame induction. It was just so quiet, and it made me feel a little sad, especially since I've looked up to him. I'm curious though, how did you feel about it? Honestly, it's hard to understand why you're not in the Hall of Fame yet. We've talked about this before, and while it doesn't bother you much, I know it means a lot to the people around you. There are other fighters who retired way after you, and they've already gotten that recognition. What do you think about that? Mid-2025 being floated. Hey, I'm sorry I have to ask you this, but I know you probably say NDA, but blink twice if that Jake Paul fight was set up. Blink twice. I know you. I never blink because I got these Liberty eyes. I don't need much air, you know what I mean, to keep them open. A lot of people wonder that, but think about this. If I say Rampage pay you $2 million, right? Let this dude beat you. What you going to do? You going to feel disrespected, number one.
Yeah, right.
That ain't enough money, but I got paid. That got put in there, and you're more legendary than them. Interestingly, India has been mentioned as a possible venue, a departure from the traditional fight hubs like Las Vegas or Abu Dhabi. While McGregor initially alluded to talks with Jake's brother Logan Paul, it now appears that Jake may be the preferred opponent for a blockbuster event. Conor McGregor still called you a donkey. The guy's a donkey, but guess what, Conor? I'll beat thee, and out of you, I'm going to do to Nate what you couldn't, which is knock him the out. And when he's on the canvas and you're drunk, being your alcoholic self, realizing that your life away, that money fight will always be there. And when I knock Nate Diaz the out and you realize I'm the biggest fight for you, call me, I'm going fight Conor. I'm McGregor in 5 fights, BB Headland. Seriously, I'm fight McGregor for sure. Had you been talking to him like he's already ducking me, you got to call him. He's already ducking me. Jake Paul is determined to take on Conor McGregor, saying he'll beat him within 5 fights. At first, McGregor dismissed Jake and his brother Logan, calling them dingbats, basically ignoring their presence in the boxing world. But despite everything, he still can't bring himself to hate McGregor entirely. Joe Rogan also chimed in on the situation, talking about the lasting effects of head trauma on fighters. He explained how consistent head injuries can mess with a fighter's brain chemistry and contribute to some of the erratic behavior we've seen from McGregor lately. What do you think? Could McGregor's past injuries be playing a role in his recent actions? Let me know in the comments. Joe Rogan recently opened up about how Conor McGregor's behavior might be linked to the long-term effects of head injuries. He explained that fighters often experience constant discomfort because of the physical toll their bodies go through. When you're getting hit in the head repeatedly, it messes with your brain chemistry. Over time, this can lead to things like mood swings and unhealthy behavior. Rogan made a good point. Fighters aren't supposed to get hit in the head over and over again. It's just not how the body is built to handle that kind of trauma. And it's not just McGregor. Many athletes face these challenges because of the nature of the sport. It makes you think, right? Do you think fighting should be changed to protect athletes more, or is it just part of the game? Let me know what you think down below. The gym 3 times a week, and we spar 3 times a week, and let's say we spar 5 rounds 3 times a week, 5 rounds of 5 minutes each. You might hit me 20 times a round, and then we're doing that 3 times a week. Man, I like your music selection. I always. It's like your music selection on the videos you well. Let's do it, my friend. We on camera, okay? We had a few fans who wanted to. That's what makes me wonder if Conor could ever make like a successful comeback, as I feel like that like level. Yeah, no, he could. He certainly could. I don't think you ever forget where you came from. Conor actually brought it up when someone was asking him about USADA. It almost seemed like he was justifying drug use at some point. It was kind of wild. It seemed exactly like he was like, you don't know like it. I took myself out of the pool, everything's on board, and it was like very suggestive of this was within the rule, and I had to do it. If you don't like agree with my decision sort of thing, what do you think, who would win in a fight between Conor McGregor and Jake Paul? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.